Okay, so we need to talk about Billie Eilish getting canceled.
Be fucking for real! What's next? We're gonna say that people look French? People look Portuguese? People look Canadian? That's the stupidest thing that I've ever heard. Oh, and here comes the It's Not That Deep Brigade. Right on schedule. I know, let it out in the comments. It's not that deep, it's not that deep. I know your brain hurts when people have critical discussions.
Yes, what Billie Eilish said was problematic. Yes, it's that deep. To say this during a time when people are literally being kicked out of the country for not looking like Billie Eilish, thrown into concentration camps where they don't have access to like water.
Well, this is all very dramatic. Hi, hello. I know we just spoke about the very harmful eugenics campaign, ran by none other than American Eagle.
This is a joke, right? This is a joke.
But unfortunately, we do live in this strange era where people have decided that, normal statements or things are just all of a sudden covert declarations of hatred and bigotry.
If you're white, yes, you are racist, even if you think you're...
So that's fun to deal with for like 10 years straight. And it's gotten pretty out of hand. I saw a video the other day of some lady freaking out about a kid's toy that looks like a tiki torch, implying it was promoting white supremacy.
Hey friends, have you been to Walmart lately? Have you seen this? What do you think? What's in your mind?
If you didn't catch my last video, I do recommend that you go and watch that one before this one. It will give you quite a bit of context for this one. But in case you are short on time. Recently, American Eagle partnered with Sydney Sweeney on an ad campaign for jeans, in which the messaging included celebrating Sweeney's great jeans, with a play on that word. And while normal people could not be bothered to see this as a problem, liberals across the internet took great issue with the ad's messaging, which included mentions of Sweeney's genetics. This set off a social media firestorm with people hurling accusations that this campaign was actually a racist dog whistle, complete with dog, promoting Nazi propaganda and eugenics. And as insane as that all sounds, lefties are apparently on a crusade at the moment, because now they have set their sights on a new target to accuse of pulling a racism, Billie Eilish. The modern pop icon has been receiving a lot of backlash for some statements she made while on tour recently. During a performance in Ireland, the singer remarked that it was cool to be around people who looked like her, referencing her pasty skin.
As you guys know, I'm Irish, so it's cool to be here. I am not from here, obviously, but it's really cool to come somewhere and like everybody looks exactly like you.
And in typical fashion, liberals have taken to TikTok to label Billie a seething racist.
You're canceling Billie Eilish because she said she was Irish. No, that isn't what she said, though. What she said was, I'm so glad that I am in a place where everyone looks like me. That's America, baby. That's Romania, Bulgaria, Ukraine. Like, she looks like the normal, typical, average white woman, right? Like, it's just so funny. That's what is funny about it. It's the irony. Like, what are you talking about, Billie? What?
I see people trying to defend her and talk about how she's just happy to be around her people and she's just proud of her Irish heritage, her culture. But that's the thing. She's not representing Irish culture or Irish heritage at all, and she never really has. I hate that TikTok cut this off, but there's a reason videos like this exist. So if Billie Eilish is so proud of being Irish, why doesn't she act like it? Why doesn't she dress like it? Why doesn't she represent that culture?
Billie Eilish going to Ireland and being like, it's so cool to be in a place where everyone looks exactly like you, reminds me of when Harry Styles won the Grammy and he was like, people like me don't usually win awards. Like, both these instances are like conventionally attractive, popular white people talking about people like them, people who look like them. Like, what are you saying? Please, no, describe in detail, what are you saying? Oh, and here comes the It's Not That Deep Brigade, right on schedule. I know, let it out in the comments. It's not that deep, it's not that deep. I know your brain hurts when people have critical discussions, I know. But for those of us who like thinking, we can't help but wonder, what are the implications? Because if you're going to keep it vague by saying people like you, then we have no other choice but to speculate on what the hell that means. What do you mean you love being around people who look exactly like you? First of all, what do you mean everyone in Ireland looks exactly like you? not true. But also, what do you mean you enjoy being around people who look exactly like you? What? Please describe what traits you're talking about when you say you love being around people who look exactly like you.
Billie Eilish just had a concert in Ireland, and she said on stage, "It's cool to be in a place where everybody looks like me." Let's examine that claim. Do all these people look a lot like Billie Eilish? Other than maybe being white? BuzzFeed posted an article, designed to sway your thinking, saying, "Don't worry, guys, it was just taken out of context." She said, "Where everyone is just pasty like me." Oh, you mean she confirmed that it was about everybody being white? Okay. To say this during a time when people are literally being kicked out of the country for not looking like Billie Eilish, thrown into concentration camps where they don't have access to like water and clean food and medicine, at best, it's incredibly fucking tone deaf and shows that you're not tapped in to like the suffering of the people around you. Like, I don't know, I don't pay that careful attention of Billie to know like her patterns of behavior, but not a good look.
She's Irish, so she looks Irish. Be fucking for real! What's next? We're gonna say that people look French? People look Portuguese? People look Canadian? That's the stupidest thing that I've ever heard. Like Billie Eilish saying in Ireland, "Oh, it's so nice to be surrounded by people who look like me." That implies that she feels out of place in like other white spaces, which is what? That she has been like picked on or put down, like she feels weird for like looking Irish. What the fuck? And you bitches defending her, like, let's be so for real. Before yesterday, you could not have picked an Irish person out of a crowd of Canadians, okay? Well, she looks Irish. Be so fucking for real! That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Oh, well, they look Belgian. You sound stupid! You sound stupid! It's crazy for her to have said that. Especially in this political climate, that's fucking crazy. Be for real.
Now, one primary reason that they believe that she is racist for these statements is because, she doesn't talk about her Irish heritage enough.
Billie Eilish's statement was controversial, and I'm going to tell you why it was controversial. Now, a lot of y'all people are like, "Oh, she's Irish, that's what she meant." A lot of y'all taking it. Billie Eilish never has spoken about her Irish heritage, Irish roots, wanting to embrace that, which is why I went south, and why her message could be taken in very negative light, right? And received in a negative light. Now, it would have been different if Cillian Murphy or Barry Keoghan was to say that, because these people, these guys are known to talk about their Irish roots, their Irish heritage, anything. I think Cillian Murphy or Barry, one of them, not too long ago said, "I'm just happy that my people are finally getting recognition in the film industry." He was talking about Irish people. You see how he didn't get backlash, right? We also have to realize Billie really never said stuff like that, like ever. And she could have been talking about the clothes, the fit, whatever. Again, it went south. And rightfully so. And I'm gonna be honest, most of the time, most white Americans don't embrace their European roots, ever.
I'm really wondering how any white Americans are supposed to embrace their European roots when we are called Nazis anytime we try to do so.
So it's like, that's kind of like a poor excuse.
Cool story. Anyways, here is a clip from 2023 of Billie saying basically the exact same thing while, again, in Ireland.
And it's so cool to be here because I'm Irish. Really white. Anyway, I love you. Thank you for having me.
I think where she went wrong here is instead of just saying, "Oh, it's nice to be around other Irish people," she said it's nice to be around people that look just like me. Because 60% of the United States is white. So 60% of the US looks just like you.
Considering that Billie grew up in LA, which is pretty diverse, and also in California, a place that gets a lot of sunlight, she might be around a lot of tan people. So joking about being surrounded by ghostly white skin tones actually makes a lot of sense to me as somebody who also has a ghostly white skin tone. But some actually argue that Billie growing up in LA actually makes this statement worse. Because of course.
Billie Eilish going to Ireland and saying, "I'm happy to be around people that look like me," is obviously weird for many reasons. But what I don't see anybody bringing up is the fact that she grew up in Highland Park, Los Angeles. Los Angeles is like highly populated with Latinos, Hispanic people. Knowing that fact and then hearing what Billie Eilish said makes her statement worse, especially in this political climate. Because what do you mean you're happy to be around people that look like you? First of all, you're a white rich woman from America. You're around people that look like you all the time. But secondly, you grew up in Los Angeles.
a highly Hispanic and Latino populated community. What? You dress like Soulja Boy. I like some of the Billie songs, but this, like, especially after the whole Grammys thing with the Beyonce thing and, like, her fans being racist and people's comments and her, like, just not saying a peep. It's like, I'm not really surprised because one thing about white women, they always got a little trick up their sleeve, don't they? But, like, my God, girl, what?
So an innocent comment that was simply celebrating her fans and her own heritage has now been turned into a storm, because if you dare to say that it's nice to be surrounded by people who look like you, the left automatically interprets that as you don't like being around people who don't look like you, which is just like the waffle fallacy that occurs online. You know, it's a thing where you say, I like waffles, and then somebody will come along and say, why would you say you hate pancakes? And it's like, I didn't say I hate pancakes, I said I like waffles. It doesn't automatically mean that I hate pancakes. And this is the same thing. Just because somebody is saying that they enjoy being around people who look like them doesn't mean that they don't want to be around people who don't look like them. You know what I mean? There's no winning here, and really there's not supposed to be. It's basically just agreed upon by the left at this point that if you're white, you're a racist, and there's nothing you can say, nothing you can do to get out of that.
Suck it, reindeer games.
I'm not Ben Affleck.
You white, then you Ben Affleck. Right, Wheeler?
Yeah, you are white. That's true, I am white.
But another shockwave hit the internet when BuzzFeed reported that Sydney Sweeney has been a registered Republican since 2024. And once again, liberals flock to TikTok in the masses to use this as confirmation that the American Eagle ad was indeed white supremacy.
Here's the thing, though, right? If you registered to vote at any point after Donald Trump became an obvious and serious and plain and present threat, and you registered with his party to vote for him, there's no excuse for that. It's a little bit like joining the Yahtzee party after the night of broken glass and the burning down of the Reichstag. It's like putting on a stormtrooper costume after Alderaa's been exploded. You know what I mean? It's indicative of a certain type of person, and definitely not one who's very smart.
I knew this was exactly what it was from the beginning. Sydney Sweeney from the jeans commercial for American Eagle has been a Republican for registered at least since 2024. And you know what this tells me? That this has been planned. This has been planned for the longest. This was a strategic move, and this tells me that this is exactly what it was, what everybody thought it is, what everybody took it to be. Look at her smile. Look at that face. That's not a face of equality. That's not a face of acceptance. That's not a face of love towards your fellow human brown being, dark being, black being, melanin being. This is the face of someone who is empowered by the current administration and their color as blue-eyed, yellow hair, white skin.
Did you know that, rumor has it, Sydney Sweeney voted for Donald Trump? I wonder how her schedule looks like now.
So to absolutely nobody's surprise, Sydney Sweeney, it's been revealed that she's been a registered Republican since 2024. That is an active choice. After 2016, when Donald Trump has been the Republican candidate every single time after 2016, it is a choice to register Republican. You just, don't do that if you don't support Donald Trump. Number one. Number two, her family is all MAGA, so maybe she was pressured into it, but considering all of the bad business deals that her team has been giving her, including this American Eagle eugenics ad where they doubled down and was like, it's always about the genes. Meanwhile, they're talking about genetics, the bathwater shit. This girl is fucking weird. She's fucking weird, and she supports Donald Trump. And I don't have time for people like that. I don't have time for celebrities who just want to push this agenda. This is horse shit. And I hope she never works a day in her life again. Have a good day.
But while some people are spiraling even harder after learning of the news of Sydney Sweeney being a Republican, others are saying that everybody should have known that already. It was so obvious.
Oh my God, Sydney Sweeney has been registered as a Republican since 2024 in Florida. In other news, the sky is blue and bread was found at a bakery today. Do you honestly expect a blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman from the state of Florida to not be a Republican? Or to not be registered as one? Like, let's be serious. Let's be real. Please.
Oh, okay, so you're just going around assuming things about people based solely on their skin color. You know, I think there's a word for that. And this is just a high school mean girl tactic of labeling something or someone as bad to try to get everyone else to turn against it and reject it as well. But we've really entered into the boy who cries wolf era, and people are just burnt out. All the buzzwords are meaningless at this point because you've watered them down to a point where nobody cares about them anymore. They don't hold any meaning. They don't hold any weight. And it's this type of behavior that has turned so many people away from the Democratic Party. It's insane. And the condescending tones really don't help either. Canceling Billie Eilish is not an example of holding somebody accountable. It's a mob with pitchforks forming because somebody said the wrong words. When we water down these terms, then we can't identify when there actually is Nazi propaganda, when there actually is white supremacist agendas. It becomes much, much harder because every single instance before where you've labeled something these things and it didn't turn out to be true is going to flash through people's heads. And so they're going to miss maybe obvious signs of something more nefarious down the way because you are deeming everything Nazi behavior. And honestly, we're losing the meaning of words. We're losing the meaning of things that are important things to be able to identify when they're real. And if you're constantly diluting this down and flooding the airwaves with examples of manufactured outrage and not genuine fear that people are propagating this message again. When I was on the left, I viewed it as the party of people who genuinely cared for others. But at this point, I don't know if there's any actual genuine care left because it seems like it's all just excuses for political fodder, excuses to hate people openly. You label all Republicans as evil, racist, bigoted, homophobe, blah, 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 simply so that you don't have to be kind to them. I think people do this because they're bored, they're scared, they're depressed, they're overwhelmed, and they feel like they have power. And for a while they did. For a while, you know, big groups could cancel people and ruin their lives. And, you know, I'm sure that did make people feel very powerful. But we're kind of in this limbo where nobody's getting on board with the cancellation mob anymore. Nobody's allowing that to run them off the internet. And so they kind of keep trying and just keep changing a target because nothing's really working. Nobody's going away. I do hold out hope that, you know, maybe some people will grow up, their brains will fully develop, and they'll realize how ridiculous this all was. But, you know, I'm not going to hold my breath because there's a lot of people who just never change their mind. And I don't think that you necessarily have to, but I do think you should probably change the view that everybody who disagrees with you is just a Nazi because, wow, what a world that would be. But that's my take, and now I would love to know yours. Do you think Billie's statements were racist? Do you also assume every blonde, blue-eyed woman that you see from Florida is Republican? Because, like, that's more like a 50-50. You could be Republican, you could also be a liberal, who knows? Are you also burned out on everybody getting called a Nazi or racist? Do you also think that a lot of these words have just lost their meaning over time from being applied in inappropriate ways? Or do you think there is any credence to any of these claims? And if so, I would love to hear why, like genuinely speaking. But thank you for watching, thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Toodles!